If you're relocating from New York or the Northeast, Fort Lauderdale is not the compromise. In many cases, it's the upgrade. And that is not something most people expect at first because Miami tends to get all the attention. But once buyers spend time comparing the two, the decision starts to shift. Let's find out why. So let's break down why more executives and second home buyers are choosing Fort Lauderdale instead of Miami. First, let's look at lifestyle. Miami is fast, dense, high energy, and Fort Lauderdale is more controlled, but you still get access to everything you need, but without the same level of congestion, noise, and intensity. So, if you're coming from New York, Fort Lauderdale often feels like a better balance. You're not trying to replicate the same pace. You're trying to upgrade your day-to-day experience. And now let's talk about water access. This is one of the biggest differentiators. Fort Lauderdale is built around water. You have more waterfront homes, more usable canals, and in many cases, easier ocean access. So if boating or being on the water is part of your upgraded lifestyle plans, then Fort Lauderdale gives you more options. In Miami, waterfront exists, but it's often more limited, more vertical, and more congested, and also more expensive. Now let's talk about convenience. This is where Fort Lauderdale quietly wins. You have a major international airport that is easy to navigate. You're close to everything along the coast, and getting in and out of the area is simpler. If you're traveling back and forth from the Northeast, that matters more than most people expect because convenience becomes part of your lifestyle. And now let's talk about cost versus value. Both markets are expensive, but what you get for your money can feel very different. In Fort Lauderdale, you can often get more space, better water access, and more usable property. A lower price point compared to Miami, so the value is not just in the price, it is in what the price actually gets you. Now here's where the mindset has shifted. A few years ago, a lot of buyers were making fast decisions. Now they're more strategic. They're comparing Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Palm Beach, and even Naples on the West Coast and asking which one actually fits how they want to live. And for a lot of executives and second home buyers, Fort Lauderdale is checking more of those boxes. Let me ask you this question. When you think about relocating, are you looking for energy or ease? Because that answer usually points you in the right direction, without some of the friction that comes with Miami. That doesn't mean Miami is wrong. It just means Fort Lauderdale is often a better fit for how people actually want to live. So if you're deciding between the two, the real question is not which city is more popular, it is which one aligns with your lifestyle. Because once you get that right, everything else becomes clearer. If you're seriously considering moving to Fort Lauderdale, subscribe. I break down neighborhoods, waterfront options, and what different price points actually look like here. And if you want help figuring out which area or property make the most sense for you and your situation, you can reach out directly.